बहुजन क्रांति और बहुजन नायकों को समर्पित दलित दस्तक का 2024 का शानदार बहुजन कैलेंडर आ चुका है। कैलेंडर छोटे और बड़े दोनों साइजों में उपलब्ध है। बुकिंग के लिए दिए गए नंबर पर व्हाट्सएप करें या ईमेल करें। थोक में ऑर्डर करने पर मिलेगी आकर्षक छूट।
जब भी मैं हूं शुभदास, आप देख रहे हैं दलित दस्तक। हम लोग हैं मैसाचुसेट्स में, जहां ब्रांडाइज यूनिवर्सिटी में एक कॉन्फ्रेंस हो रही है कास्ट पे, और अलग अलग हिस्सों से दुनिया के लोग आए हुए हैं। हमारे साथ है श्रीलंका के कलिंगा टूडूर सिल्वा। ये यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ पेरादेनिया में सोशियोलॉजी के प्रोफेसर रह चुके हैं, रिटायर हैं, सोशल रिसर्चर एंड एक्टिविस्ट हैं, और सेवरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस जो श्रीलंका की है वहाँ पे काम किया है। एंड वी want to understand Sri Lanka's caste system and all thing to you.
Okay.
Sir, firstly to give brief information about you.
Yes. Well, I'm a professor of sociology at University of Peradeniya, which is in Kandy, Sri Lanka.
Okay. Okay. And what is the work on your sociology professor? So you have seen your society very well. How can you define Sri Lankan society? What is the layers of there? Like when we talk about India, there is so many layers like caste layers. What
Right.
about Sri Lanka?
Sri Lanka has similar kind of system. You know, we have a class system, and we have a caste system, and we have religious differences. So it's a very diverse society. We are talking about a population of about 22 million.
Okay.
The majority community is called Sinhala Buddhist, and they, and then we have several minorities, Hindus, Tamil Hindus, one of the minorities. Then we have Muslims, we have Christians, and so it's a very mixed society.
How much caste exists in Sri Lanka?
Very good question. Actually, there's a lot of people who believe that Sri Lanka is a casteless society.
Okay.
That's the way Sri Lanka is projected by the state, and also by some social analysts. But in my research, I have pointed out, no, it is not casteless.
Yeah.
It is just caste blind.
Okay.
Caste exists.
Caste exists, but people don't want to
People
see.
don't want to recognize it.
Okay.
So that's a big difference between India and Sri Lanka.
Okay.
In India also there is caste, and you have recognized it, and you have come up with certain policies to address caste. But in Sri Lanka it is not. So it is a hidden force. It doesn't mean it is silent. You know, there are many caste issues, caste discrimination. There is even untouchability, particularly among Hindus in northern part of Sri Lanka, very similar to Tamil Nadu. So there is caste among them. But there is also, the biggest paradox is there is caste among Buddhists. Okay, so
Caste amongst Buddhists?
Buddhists, yeah.
Okay, which type of caste?
It's like, like Buddhism also has certain, like the belief in karma, okay? So karma ideology tends to justify caste. You know, you are born into a particular caste because of bad karma you committed in the past.
Okay.
So that's one aspect. But also, the most importantly is a lot of Buddhist rituals, like are based on caste. Service is provided by underprivileged caste groups, and they are employed by the temples. Temples give land to them. So it's a kind of organized system of discrimination and exploitation of labor.
Okay. And who is the main victim in Sri Lanka?
Good question. In northern part of Sri Lanka, they are called Panchamas, the fifth caste. And they belong to several different caste groups, toddy tappers, barbers, washers, those kinds of caste groups. And traditionally they have been discriminated in many different ways. Most importantly, they are not allowed into high caste temples, and traditionally they had this discrimination in the school system. Now it is largely settled, but still they are not allowed into temples owned by high caste people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing like India.
like in India.
Okay,
yeah,
okay. In Sri Lanka, there is lots of problem the country facing. What is the main reason? What is the main reason behind this?
Main reason, okay. Well, we have, apart from caste, we also have an ethnic problem. The majority community, has some kind of, prejudice against the minority communities, Tamils in particular, because they believe that the Tamils are all out to take over Sri Lanka. They are minority of about 20-25%. So historically, Sinhala Buddhist majority felt that they are vulnerable to to this problem, because although there are only 3 million Tamils in Sri Lanka, there is many more Tamils in Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
So there is a kind of fear that Tamils will take over.
Okay.
So there is that issue.
Okay. And what is the condition of Sri Lanka's deprived section people, marginalized people?
Yes.
Like in education, like in economic, socio background.
Yes, that's a very good question. Actually, Sri Lanka has historically followed a kind of welfare state, which is open to everybody, like free education, free healthcare, free university admission. So it has benefited the country, and so even the poorest of the poor have benefited to some extent. But there are many ways in which hereditary privileges are maintained, like even in the school system under the so-called free education system, like children of the like the parents, like privileged parents always try to get their children into the same school. So there is kind of interference with the free education system. So there are issues like them, but the biggest problem has been the Sri Lankan state after independence, controlled by the ethnic majority, has introduced various policies which are discriminatory, like even land settlement policies and education. They introduced standardization scheme, which disadvantage minorities, especially Tamil. Traditionally they were doing very well in education. So say from 1970s onwards, they introduced discriminatory policies. So these are some of the issues that...
Okay, what is the big challenge of marginalized people of Sri Lanka?
The biggest challenge is,
And what is the population when we talk about population percentage? So,
we are talking...
Yeah, marginalized people.
Marginalized people, yeah. We are talking about like something like 20%, 25%, yeah. So we did a study on caste in Sri Lanka, actually for Indian Institute of Dalit Studies, and there we showed something like 30% of...
What did you find?
Yeah, we found that caste continues, in many different forms, although silently, and people don't recognize. State doesn't have any policies, but nevertheless, caste system continue. When it is suppressed, sometimes it becomes more violent.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay. My last question: what is the solution of this problem?
Solution of this problem, I think, is primarily empowerment of the disadvantaged groups, like equality, egalitarian policies, and it's very important that we recognize their rights. Actually, the Tamils had the Tamil liberation movement, as you probably have heard in India, and they demanded separate state for Tamil people called Tamil Elam, which was not given, and that that was suppressed by the state. I'm not saying that Tamil Elam is the right answer, but what I'm saying is that there has to be more like grassroots recognition of the rights of people, and more sensitivity towards minorities in the country as a whole.
In all the world, there is indigenous people, there is marginalized people.
Yes.
What do you think, as a sociology professor?
Yes.
They can be together and they should be together.
Yes.
But
Yeah, definitely. They should. Actually, I just attended a session on African Americans in the US, and they are, one of the arguments was that, African Americans and the Dalits and minorities actually should come together in a global forum. At the moment, they are there, but they are divided. They are not really working together. One of the I think remedies is for them to come together and understand each other's problems and try to create a global forum for social justice. I think that's a key message we can learn from Dr. Ambedkar.
okay, thank you so much,
You're welcome.
Professor Kalinga.
Yeah.
So this is Professor Kalinga, and we try to find caste in Sri Lanka and what is their situation in Sri Lanka of marginalized people. Thank you so much, Aman Bhai from Awaaz TV is on camera. He helps me. Thank you so much. देखते रहिए दलित दस्तक. जय हिंद.